Uh, Madam Chairperson, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This seminar started with a very important kind of proposition, as well as which later became a conclusion also. And it says that science is important. Everybody emphasized that science is important, and it's important to pursue what is happening in the scientific world about all the issues that we have been talking about. And good science is what we need to take good decisions, and that should be reflected in our national policies, as well as in our hydrodiplomacy, which can be played at the regional or international level. So, taking the question further, what is the new science that's being talked about here? In her, talk, Anamika gave a hint or referred to some recent scientific opinion, which seems to suggest that there's no cause of worry about certain things regarding downstream impact of this so-called Chinese dam, which otherwise people were thinking that these are important issues, but now they want to say that okay, the water availability in Brahmaputra, in mainstream Brahmaputra, downstream of China, downstream of say in the main Brahmaputra in Assam, Arunachal Assam, and Bangladesh should not be a cause of worry, because the change in the runoff will not be much. Why? Because most of the runoff that we get in the Brahmaputra is generated by the rainfall, which again is generated mostly on the southern slopes of Himalaya, and there's not much rainfall which contributes from the Tibetan side, because we all know that that's a cold desert, which is true. So there is some substance in this argument, and it's been forwarded by Chinese scientists, say, for last 15-20 years, and now some Indian scientists for last 5-10 years. So there is nothing new for us. Actually, we are familiar that this is the argument. Now, some of these, what I call, these logical descriptions are being recirculated here and there. But as Ramika has rightly said, it is too early to conclude anything seriously from this newly emerging scientific opinion. We should wait for more data to come. We should wait for more good science to develop, and then probably we will have many other different dimensions of the problem emerging out of this entire intellectual debate. Now, there is also weakness in this counter science, because if you go through some of the research papers which is available, you will see that taking help of historical data, people have shown that historically this was the rainfall 30 years back, 20 years back, 10 years back in Tibet, in Arunachal Pradesh, in Assam, in India, and now this is the rainfall, and we have seen that it is not fluctuated much, and therefore even if China holds a lot of water in the dam or takes it, diverts it to wherever it wants to, it should not make any difference in terms of at least water availability in Brahmaputra. I mean, there are different kind of techniques, modeling and all that, through which you can try to convince people, but I don't know. I just found that there's a very, very simplistic mistake in their hypothesis. They are assuming, and which is that, how do you know that the trend you have seen for last 30 years till now will hold valid for next 30 years? So how do you know? So you have to wait. You have to wait for more data, and you have to wait to gain more modeling capabilities. So till then, we should not conclude anything about the new opinion that is getting formed that you don't have to worry about the water, or therefore there will not be much downstream impact left in the Brahmaputra. So I think that we should keep ourselves engaged with whatever worries and anxieties we had, because these are not resolved. And one of these is that about the lean season flow. There's no convincing answer to the question that to what extent the lean season flow is going to change because of this dam. Because we assume that some amount of water will be upfell there. And we don't know. Maybe the entire amount of water could be stored in Chinese dam, and there will be partial release depending on the season and all that. Many of us think that yes, the lean season will be drastically affected because of the limitation in quantity of the base flow. The base flow will be very severely affected, but I don't know. Some people are even saying that the base flow will also remain same. It's very difficult to believe. If lean season and base flow are going to reduce drastically, then what is going to happen in Assam and Bangladesh is that most of our floodplains will be dry, right? And we all know that most of our floodplain wetlands are connected to our rivers. So I'm talking mainly about the Brahmaputra, mainstream of Brahmaputra. So many big wetlands, good wetlands, healthy wetlands are probably going to dry if in the lean season, and that will mean a lot for livelihood of people. In Assam, there is an estimated 5 million people depending on wetlands for livelihoods. 50 lakhs, more than 50 lakhs people. If say 10 lakhs of people are directly dependent on Brahmaputra and its wetlands, that's a huge number. And while assessing downstream impact on communities and people, let us not lose sight of these facts. And then we all know that flood and river erosion are parallel problems in Assam and Bangladesh. They take the major toll on livelihoods, economy, and developmental goals. Another important downstream impact, which holds true in case of any dam, whether it is a run of the river, whether it is a storage dam, whether it is in India or elsewhere. There are a lot of evidences to corroborate it. Is that the possibility of flash floods, sudden floods, because of planned or unwarranted release of water from dams, or because of different compulsions that we have to meet during the reservoir operation, right? Hirakud Dam and all these are very important examples. And we all know that Assam is the most flood vulnerable state in India. It has Assam has about 40% of its state's geographical area, which is about 31,000 square kilometers flood prone. This is an estimate from 1980 Rastriya Bar Ayog. If we make a comprehensive assessment right now, it will be much more than that. So we can safely say that at least 50%, more than 50% of our geographical area is highly flood prone, right? About 50 lakh people and 2,000 villages are affected annually by floods. About 10,000 square kilometers of agricultural and non-agricultural land is annually affected. Average loss in annual crop production is about 250 crores. Damage to homesteads and livelihood affect some 30 lakh people annually. So, why I am stating these facts, just to give you an idea, where I am just refreshing myself, our memory, because we often forget these facts, because we are already vulnerable. We are highly, highly vulnerable. There are a number of assessments, recent assessment by national agencies like Department of Science and Technology, some other think tanks, some international agencies, which have been pointing to the fact that these states in Northeast India and Eastern Himalayas and Brahmaputra Basin are some of the most climate vulnerable provinces in the world itself. So, and then this is about flood. The other problem which we have not been able to address is the riverbank erosion, because of which we are annually losing 85 square kilometer of land in Assam. And about 3,555 crores have been lost, have been in terms of loss and damage. More than 10 lakh people have been affected, and about 10,000 families are affected per year. Now, somebody referred to the Sedongpu Gully in the first session. What it means is that if you follow, major scientific literature by Chinese scientists, you will see that they have been writing paper after paper stating that some of the areas which the subcatchments of smaller tributaries which directly contribute sediment to the Yarlung jungle are producing much more sediment than before because of recently increasing geophysical instability. Sedongpu is just one example, and there is a lot of scientific evidence. Again, science needs to be taken seriously. And therefore, there is an assumption that even if there is without considering the existence of dam, we can already observe that there is a lot of increase in sediment into Brahmaputra and some of its tributaries. Now, Pahi Saikia was talking about Chor and Sapuri, and the entire process of formation and deformation of Chor and Sapuris depend on the quantity of sediment that is carried and how it is deposited. And if there is diversity, if there is some kind of anomalous pattern which is quite different from the normal pattern of sediment deposition, that can destabilize the river banks and lead to much more erosion. So things are connected actually. What is happening in the upstream is directly affecting things. Our riverine riparian hydroecology in the downstream, which is directly again affecting lifestyle livelihoods of people. These are just two examples. Just before concluding, do we have 2-3 more minutes? 2 minutes, okay. Just before concluding, I would like to cite a few more facts about that. Many people may not be aware that we have been talking about floods, flash floods and other, but the fact of the matter is that the monsoon rainfall in Northeast India is decreasing and decreasing significantly, which is something that we have to come to terms with, because we need to believe this, because visually, perceptionally, if you take it as a perception, it will not match with your real life experience, but this is true. And this has lot of consequences for our agrarian economy, for our ancillary industries like river tourism, etc. So this is one thing that's very important to remember. The other thing is that even though monsoon rainfall is decreasing in general, but extreme rainfall is increasing. Recently, we have some publications from in prestigious journals which are indicating that in the region consisting of Assam and Meghalaya, extreme rainfall, say of 150 millimeter per day, is getting quadrupled, because it is becoming 4 times more than it was before. Between 1950 and 2021, there are 4 times more extreme rainfall in these areas. So there are other meteorological literature by Indian scientists. So these are actually proven. So on one hand we have increasing monsoon rainfall on one hand, and on another hand we have extreme rainfall. So our rainfall has kind of become binary. When we have rainfall, we have a lot of rainfall. When we don't have rainfall, we don't have a single drop. So this kind of situation is very difficult to come to terms with or cope with. Our communities' traditional adaptation mechanisms are failing actually. Although our riparian communities are also showing spectacular, adaptive, strategies on many other aspects. But then there are on these fronts actually, we have seen people are not being able to cope or adapt. And on the other hand, this is one more example that this is not as if this was not enough. From 2005 onwards, more and more areas in Assam and some parts of Northeast, including Mizoram, Manipur, and Nagaland, and some parts of our Karbi Anglong and Dima Hasar, they are showing more and more tendency to develop drought-like situation and droughts, localized droughts. So again, this has also been prominently reflected in some scientific literature. Say for example, say 2022, which was a classic year for studying, the climate impact on in Northeast India. So in June and July, in May and June, we had more than 40 or 50% above rainfall, which caused a lot of devastation with flash floods. Then from June, July, August, we didn't have any rainfall. It fell short by again 40% below normal. So this is the kind of situation we are having, and we have just completed a research in central Assam on climate resilient agriculture at the request of World Food Programme, and we have seen how severely local agriculture has been affected. Now, I'm considering the dam and its possible impact as to be creating as an additional layer of impact on what already exists on the baseline. We are already highly vulnerable because of drastic environmental changes that is taking place because of the impact of climate change. Now, anything like a Chinese dam, or for that matter, any Indian dam, because what is true for Chinese dam, as far as downstream impact is concerned, is also true for any Indian dam, except probably for the case of your reservoir operation policy, because in case of China, it can play tricks with you, but in case of an Indian dam, definitely we feel safe. But downstream impact, some of the downstream impacts are unmistakable, wherever the dam is. So therefore, both kinds of dams, both these dams, on any dam is going to affect the hydrological regime of any river. It is going to fragment the eco-hydrological regime, it's going to fragment the flows, it's going to fragment the ecosystems, the entire biological diversity. So these are impacts that will be there. But then you can think of your risk tolerance to what extent, and then finally you come to what economists call cost and benefit. Then those are yardsticks through which decisions are made. But scientifically there will be some impact which we cannot escape. So keeping these all these facts and figures in mind, I think we should keep worried about. We should really, it's really important to be worried about what is going to happen from the Chinese dam and also from any other dam, which is also going to be very huge, which may be within our territory or maybe outside. Thank you.
Dr. Das, thank you.